Ah, there we go. Sorry about that. I had the thing on mute still. Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. Glad that you're here and watching today. And let's start again by saying, um, um, I have, for those of you who don't know, I have seven children, six daughters and a son, and I get a lot of um, feedback on that all the time. Where basically, I'm overpopulating the earth, or there's too many vassals, or just how can you possibly afford it, and what's wrong with you, etc., etc., etc. However, it's on days like today that when I get all these cards, happy birthday cards from my kids, it is certainly a joy. Some people who have only one kid get one card. I get to get seven of them, or sometimes in the case of one of my daughters, multiple cards. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all the nice happy birthday wishes. And let's get started with some questions. So, again, I apologize about the sound, but, well, that's how that works. So let's see. Are there any questions? Favorite faction in my favorite fraction in Star Realms? Well, that would be 3/4. But my favorite faction is the Blob. I think the green ones. I like them a lot. I just like the power that they have. So is that the only question I have thus far? I was wondering about your celebrity status at Essen. I don't think I have celebrity status. I just show up. So anyhow, did you see the better artwork for the Polish edition of Castles of the Mad King Ludwig? I did see that. It looks nice, but I didn't dislike the version that we have now, so I'm okay. Why not have the Dice Tower Con in the winter? Avoid the Origins Gen Con crunch and allows Northerners to escape the cold. That sounds good, but I'll give you a couple reasons. One, because the Dice Tower, well, I'll give you this, it's the main reason, is that the Dice Tower Con is a family-friendly convention, and the best time to allow families to come is the summer. There is no good time in the winter where everybody can take off school and where teachers can't come. And there are conventions in the winter, but it's best to come in the summer. We're also not really crunched up too badly between Origins and Gen Con, and I doubt that many people who are coming to the Dice Tower Con are going to both of those, unless they're publishers and such. So let's see here. But that is why. I have not tried Relic, so I have no opinion on that. How necessary are the minis in Blood Rage? Well, they're not any more necessary than minis in any game. There's no game where minis are necessary. You could always play with just flat pieces, unless, of course, line of sight matters. So they're not necessary. I wouldn't play without them, though. That doesn't seem... It just makes the game look that much better. All right. Do you have some kind of anticipated games at Essen? Yes. In fact, we'll be doing a whole series of videos on that, and that will probably be posted in a couple weeks, where we'll be talking about the different things that we're looking forward to at Essen. Putting that together is really kind of a bear. There is so much involved in the Essen videos. There's so many games coming out at Essen. Let's see here. Do you think the Geek Chic XP Kickstarter project is good for the hobby? Is it divisive? Well, let's take a look here at the Geek Chic XP thing, because I'm not really sure what it is at this point in time. I've been watching it, but I haven't looked at it yesterday or today. But right now, they're looking for $85,000, and they're at $23,717, and that's with 49 backers. So we'll round it up to 50, and we'll say right now there are 50 people who are interested in this. Now, Geek Chic XP is essentially, they basically say that going to a convention right now is not fun. That is their shtick, right? And they're going to make it better for you by essentially having special places for you to play games, where you can meet designers and people in general, where they'll have maybe food for you at conventions, basically upgrading your experience. So I'm very curious as to how this works, and there's a couple things that bother me about this project in general. And one of those is the fact that the Geek Chic thing is very vague, in my opinion, as to what they're going to offer. Now, they did a couple events at Gen Con, and I did not go to all of them. I went to the zoo one that they did, and that they're advertising. And the zoo thing that they put on was very underwhelming. Okay, if this was something that I'm paying a membership of an elite club to go to this, I don't know that I would have been that impressed. I mean, I wasn't impressed. It was essentially a picnic at the zoo. There was no gaming, and there was no designers or people that really were there to talk to. I mean, you could say, well, that's all. The Dice Tower crew was there. That's, first of all, we're not famous, and secondly, we would not go there normally. So I'm assuming what they're going to do at these events is they're going to pay big name designers or woo them in some way or other people to come and you can spend time with them. But it's not like you can't do that at a convention. Sure, you might not get some intimate with the designers and publishers perhaps, but I don't know. They haven't sold me on the product there yet. And again, if you go and look at this thing, they're talking about putting stamps on a passport and what else you get. Okay, this is what you get if you pledge to $500. You get the passport. Woohoo. You get access to a Geek Chic members only lounge. All right, but is that worth $500? You get access to all the public events and venues. All right, profile consultation. 2 complimentary visitor visas, whatever that means, and a Kickstarter exclusive passport stamp. Again, why are we talking about these stupid passport stamps? Why would I pay $500 for a passport stamp? So I think you get to go to these events at conventions, and then you have access to a room. But I don't really see it. See, let's take a look, compare this to the Gen Con VIP program, which also is like $500 some dollars. I've talked to people from that program, and those people love that program because it lets them get their hotels first before anybody else. They have a special block, so they get their hotels first. They have a lounge with food in it, basically same as the Geek Chic is what they're offering, where they can go there. They get a big bag of free games and things. They get in the exhibition hall before other people, and there's like they can always go grab a drink or whatever. And then there's also an event or two, and when they go to events, they get to sit in the front. I don't know that the Geek Chic thing is as good as the Gen Con VIP program, and yet it's essentially the same amount of money. And you could argue it's at many of the events. So that's problematic. I'm just not sure that the value is there, and they're really not demonstrating the value. Now, is this setting some people here with the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the people not? I think we have to be careful not to go down that lane because, sure, I can look at this and I'm like, man, it's like setting aside an elite. And I actually don't like that. I don't like the fact that it's like, oh, hello, I'm at the Geek Chic program. Where are you? At the same time, those who can go to a convention have an advantage over those who can't go to a convention. So is there's a level split between there. Some people stay at the nice close hotels. Other people are staying at the Red Roof, which is 8 miles out of town. Some people can do different things. And so there's advantages and disadvantages that everybody will have. I don't know that this is bad for the hobby. Okay, I can't see it causing any problems at all. Maybe some jealousy from somebody who's not in it. But my bigger concern is I don't think this is that big of a deal. I don't see that it's offering stuff, and Geek Chic is deliberately or just oddly enough being very oblique in what exactly they're offering. When you go here, it's kind of like, come be part of the Cool Kids Club. Well, what is the Cool Kids Club? Oh, you'll see. Well, that's not very helpful. So perhaps it will fund, perhaps it won't. I don't know. Right now, like I said, it's at $23,000, and that's with one person backing it at $5,000. So you take that person out, and you have $18,000 backed by 48 people. It may fund, it may not, but as I'm saying at this point in time, they haven't given us enough information. I've talked to several major publishers who had no idea what this was. It almost feels like they kind of threw it out there to kickstart it. I love Geek Chic tables. They're very nice tables. I'm just not as impressed with Geek Chic XP. They need to win me over, and so far they haven't done a good job. Well, that was a very long answer. Sorry. um, you lately said you started liking Seven Wonders more than before. Do you still like Among the Stars better? That is going to be something you'll find out today or tomorrow or soon, because you'll be seeing my top 100 list. So keep an eye out for that one. The podcast did go up today, so it should be up now if you want to listen to the podcast. Do you know when Flick 'em Up will be available for the general public and not just those who are hitting up the conventions? I would assume after Essen, Flick 'em Up will be widely available. Is there anything special in mind for the 100th board game breakfast? Well, I haven't thought about that. I just did, 92? So that's in 8 weeks? Whew. I don't know. Maybe. That's true. It's always... I don't know. I guess for me, I'm just happy. I remember I did my first board game breakfast, and the feedback was overwhelmingly negative. I went to Board Game Geek Con, and then some people came up to me and they said, "We really like your stuff, but this board game breakfast isn't very good." And I said, "Guys, just give it some time," because I really believed in this vision, and I said, we can make Board Game Breakfast work. And I think, other than the top 10s, it's the most popular thing that we do. And so I'm glad that we stuck with it, and I'm really proud of where it's at. And I think each, month we're finding new ways to improve it and make it a little bit better. I'm very happy with the weekend review. I think that's really cool. I'm still waffling on the idea. People said, "Why don't you spin that off in its own video?" And I'd like to, but it's also a really good part of Board Game Breakfast. So we'll see if it. I'm still inclined to leave it in Board Game Breakfast for now. All right, what does the Dice Tower guy say at the beginning of your videos? He doesn't say anything. Everyone always asks that. He just is like, wah, wah, wah. It's just the guy making noises. Do you think that broadcasting of board games is interesting only for the players and boring for the watchers? I would think so, right? I've never understood people wanting to watch board games played live. However, we'll do it because people watch it. You might find it boring, but apparently enough people do like it. So what I try to do is, first of all, when I'm playing, I try to keep a patter going so that people who are watching have something to listen to. I hate when it's just silent, and also I try to pick games that are interesting to watch. Like, for example, I love Orleans. Orleans is a very fun game, but you probably won't ever see us play it live because I don't think that would be an interesting game to watch. Unfortunately, as much as I like many Euro games would not be fascinating to watch. I'm sure there'd be somebody out there who'd be like, "Oh, I'd watch them." But games like Cosmic Encounter, and we just played last week, we played Blood Rage and Rum and Bones. It wasn't a Cool Mini or Not sponsored week. It did look like that, but those are just two games I played lately where I said, hey, those games would be interesting to watch. Have you been to any of the Nordic countries? I have not. I'd really like to. Any video reviews of older games coming soon? Well, right now that's in Sam's purview, so he's been doing several of those, so just keep an eye on what Sam is doing. Oh, here's someone who's asking basically if I'm going to take the weekend review to a separate video. I just answered that. Huzzah. Let's see. Do you know anything I can bring to Essen from Norway for Eric and Z? I apologize. I would not know what is in Norway, so that would be up to you. I'm sure there's something spectacular from Norway that we don't know about. What's the size of your Geek Chic table? I don't remember the exact measurements, but it's perfect really for 6 players, which is what I got it for. I want to say it's 6 foot by 2.5 feet. I don't remember. What are my thoughts on Ryan Lockett's Cutthroat variant of Artifacts? Cutthroat variant? I know he has a variant. I didn't know it was Cutthroat, but basically it's where people can play at the same time. I have not played it, but I do plan to try it, actually, because his variant sounded very good. With Dan King leaving the Dice Tower, will we find out his real favorite game? Hey, man, I wish that Nothing Personal wasn't his favorite game sometimes because he gets accused of that, but I promise you, Dan is not somebody who's sitting there trying to please me by picking that as his favorite game, because I'm always getting on his case like, how can you not like this game? How can you like this game? If you notice, he and I have very different tastes, so I think that's pretty cool. But that's his call. So maybe Let's see here. What's the best way to beat you at Sheriff in Nottingham? Why would I tell you that? I'm not telling you that. Another game I haven't seen anything about on your channel is Quantum. Why is that? I bought it a week ago and it's a very solid and fun game. The fact is, we never got sent a copy of Quantum, and then we played it and it was fun and I enjoyed it, and I never picked up a copy. That's why you just never saw a review of it. If someone paid for all your expenses, would you be willing and able to have a holiday in Australia for a week if you had enough notice? Probably. I've always wanted to go to Australia. Long airplane flight. Wouldn't look forward to that. But Australia is certainly on my bucket list. Well, to be honest, pretty much every country is on my bucket list. I'd love to go to England. One of these days, I got to get to that UK Games Expo. I'd love to go to Australia. I've always wanted to see the other countries in Europe, like France and the Nordic countries, and I love to go to Russia and some of the countries around there. I've been to many of the Asian countries. I just have not been to European countries. I like to go to many of the African countries too. Hi, Tom. Greetings from Spain. You know that you have many followers outside the USA and inside. There's loads of Spanish-speaking viewers. Have you thought to suggest Z to record something in Spanish? This is actually a better question probably for Z, but I can answer somewhat on his behalf. I know that Z can speak fluent Spanish, but I know that he is on here on board as an English speaker. And even if he did do that, it would have to be a completely separate channel. And the reason for that is, if let's say I had Spanish and French and all these different languages on board, they'd have to be their own channel, because I want people when they come here to be, that it's all kind of focused. And so we have English speaking, not because I think English is the best language. It just happens to be the language that most of us speak. So the Dice Tower will remain an English speaking channel. Now, will a sister channel come up that speaks Spanish? That's quite possible, maybe in the future. But it would be a different channel. That's all. Again, that would just be for confusion purposes. What are a couple of games you would introduce to your parents who have never played a game beyond a pack of cards? Oh, there's so many little games. I think No Thanks will be my very first game that I would teach them, just because of how simple it is and easy to get into. It's very inoffensive. And then maybe I would pick something maybe like Forbidden Island, something very simple, cooperative, where you could work with them. Have you ever loved a new game as you started playing only to have it devolve as it goes along? I know that has happened. I don't have any that come to mind right now, but I know I thought, wow, this game is cool. And as we played it, I was like, oh, it's really not that spectacular. But I'm usually pretty good with first impressions. I'm usually pretty accurate for myself with first impressions. But it has happened. I just cannot remember right now what they are. Top 5 favorite sandwiches. What a great question. All right. Number 1, by far, the best sandwich mankind has ever created is the Reuben. Now, it's I could throw the Rachel in there too. And there's a deli up in South Miami that combines the Reuben and the Rachel. And what a good choice that is. It's a marvelous sandwich. Not to mention they have giant pickles. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Oh, I love that place. I need to go there. The Reuben is the best sandwich. And down here in South Florida, there's a lot of places that make a lobster Reuben, which is amazing. Okay, so Reuben is number 1. Number 2 is probably a good, solid Italian hoagie. Not a nonsense subs, hoagies. Okay, so I would say that a really good hoagie that I have was with, I think it's called Wally's Hogs, was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where this guy made these sandwiches with buns like this big, and then it was just like meat and lettuce, and a delicious sandwich, to be sure. And then number 3, of course, is the Philadelphia cheesesteak, except I'm going to say the Allentown cheesesteak, because in Allentown, I think, Allentown specifically, has a cheesesteak where they put sauce on it. Philly doesn't put sauce on the cheesesteak. Allentown does. So that is my 3rd favorite sandwich for sure. I really like the cheesesteak. Those are the top 3. Once we go below that, it gets more difficult. 4 is probably a really good BLT or BLOT because you have to have onions on it if possible. So that would be my fourth favorite sandwich. And then fifth, I like hamburgers and things like that, but a really good Chicago hot dog. It has to be really good. And that's probably tied with a Kraut dog from Philly. Philly just makes great sandwiches, guys. I'm sorry. I love the South. The South is fantastic. But I think overall, the Northeast makes the best sandwiches in the world. All right. Am I going to review the Kemet expansion? Oh, are you kidding? Of course I'm going to review that sucker. My favorite game artwork. Well, we actually done a top 10 list on that. You can see, have I ever considered getting game art to blow up and hang on your wall? Not really. I like to have other things on the wall. I get to look at games all the time, so I put other things on my walls. And you've probably seen in different videos when different things, some of the artwork I have on walls. I just like having different things. When I go to Gen Con every year, I look for art. This year I bought like 4 pieces of art. I was really happy with them. They look really good on my walls, and I just like it a lot. Why do you keep making your new top 100? It's less than 1 year since your previous. Well, I think it's pretty close to a year since I made the ones from last year. Did I make it in September? Maybe it was October, but it's pretty close. But the reason I make my top 100 is because, I thought about not making it this year, but that would be the first time in 11 years I haven't made it, and it seems odd. And I had 21 new games. Now, they're not all new games. Some of them are older games that actually made it in the top 100. And there's some upheaval. And it's also just interesting to me, maybe not so much to you guys, to see how games have shifted and gone throughout the years. And it gives you guys some kind of staying power. I don't know. When people stop watching them, I guess I'll stop making them. Would you consider having a contest to be a playtester for a viewer's game in prototype? No. I don't want to play prototypes if at all possible. I play prototypes occasionally now for the Dice Tower Essentials line, and that is excruciating enough for me. I don't know what it is. It's just me. It's not you. I want to play finished games. And when I play a prototype game, we then tear into that game and say, this is the problem, this, and this. And then the person who made the game is upset. And that's not a very fun experience for me. I like to play new, fun, published games. How different are kids who have graduated from simple kids games from adults in terms of taste and expectations? Does the industry cater to them as well? I don't really know what that means. But I'll tell you this, when I teach kids games, they usually are, I like teaching kids better than adults usually because I can teach them, they understand the game, they'll jump into it, they're enthusiastic, they don't complain later on. I'll say, oh, wait, here's a rule that I missed or that we didn't know about, and I explain that to them, and they don't sit there and go, oh, I would have played differently. They're like, oh, wow, that's different. Kids have a much better attitude than adults when it comes to games, usually. How do you handle an alpha player without being rude on co-op games? I am probably a little rude about it, I guess. I don't know how to. I just say, hey, are you being an alpha player? Are you telling everyone what to do? Are you in charge of this game? Ask it like that. And no, I'm not. What location the live show at Essen will be? I will disclose it when at the booth, I think, and you can get a ticket. I'll tell you where. It's one of the rooms off of the Mesa somewhere. Let's see here. I noticed the game of all time poll allows for 100 games. Any reason why? That's coding problems, and that's why I haven't announced it yet. I'm trying to get it so it's only 20 games, because I know not everyone's going to want to put in 100 games. So we're still working on that to get that fixed so that we can get the People's Choice Top 100 up. Do I celebrate birthdays with a big play night? No, but I am going to play games tonight like normal. We kind of celebrated my birthday yesterday. We went down to Key Largo. We went to a restaurant there called the Fish House, which is one of the best seafood restaurants in the world, I think. And so I got some key lime, shrimp, and scallops with some lobster thrown in. It was really, really good. And fried conch. That restaurant is amazing. If you ever go through Key Largo, stop at the Fish House. Doesn't sound like much, doesn't look like much, but it's really delicious seafood. And then I went and bought a whole bunch of fireworks that I'm not going to shoot off till New Year's Eve, but they were on sale. So let's see here. Was that the question? Oh, yeah. No, that's what I did yesterday. Okay. Is that an actual Indiana Jones hat? I don't know. I don't think it's Indiana Jones. Hi, Tom. I can't find a review of Twa. Do you like this game? I hate it. Why was there no big celebration or mention of 100,000 subscribers? I think we mentioned it. I got to be careful, right? I'm always excited when we reach new numbers. Like, we just reached 50 million views. And I was excited about that. I was also excited when we hit 100,000 subscribers. They were very close to each other that they both happened. And that's all well and good. I have to be careful that we're not just always saying, hey, look how much people like us. Look at this. This is great. We're the best. Feels like bragging after a while. So I try not to make too big of a deal about numbers, although at least externally. Now, if you could see here in the Dice Tower, when we reach different levels, we're like, what? Right now, my big goal is to get 2 million views in 1 month. We haven't hit that. The highest we got, I think, was 1.83, which is a lot. Although, again, a lot of people get that on one video. But my goal is to get 2 million views in 1 month. That, if my records and tracking go correctly, that could happen in December. Although it could happen this month when you guys see the video we put out next week. Anyhow, there's a lot of videos going up this week, but I don't think they're going to get a ton of views. Basically, what I did was I went to the store and got every single Star Wars game I could find that I thought was reasonable. And I played them all. And we're reviewing them all because they're mostly simple, But there might be... keep an eye on this because some of these Star Wars games are not as bad as you might think. Am I going to review The Grizzled? Probably not, because Z did it. I can't review everything, so that was one of the ones I passed to Z. When will I be putting up a review of Undercity? Well, if you listen to my podcast, part of my views were up on that. That went up just today. As a video review, I'm going to assume probably next week, although I want to play it some more, so we'll see. Let's see here. Will you do your new top 100 by yourself or with Sam and or Z? Guess you'll have to watch today to find out. Hope you're wearing that Blue Jay hat with pride. You know what? The Blue Jays are actually winning. It's amazing. I just found that out. Shows how much I follow baseball. Suppose I want a localized version of a game like an Asian version of Wits and Wagers or Time's Up. How can one make that happen? Well, you just got to contact the company and talk to them about that. I'm sure they have the rights to those countries, and maybe someone already owns the rights to those, or they're willing to sell the rights to those. That's what I would do. Terra or Fauna? I haven't played Terra yet, although it sounds like it's more fun than Fauna. Because it's just more about animals. Wow, there's a lot of games here. A lot of questions here. There we go. Let's see. I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I'm curious if you ever brought your kids to Hershey Park. I did not, because we were not in Pennsylvania with my kids when they were around. I've thought about bringing them to Hershey Park, and one of the problems I had was I wanted to bring them to Hershey Park, but unlike here in Florida where parks are open year-round, Hershey Park opens May 15th, I think, or something around there in May. And so getting the kids up there, summer season is the worst for us when it comes to going to different things. So I don't know if we'll ever go to Hershey Park. I'd like to go to Hershey, take them to Hershey. I'm considering taking my 3 oldest kids to Washington, D.C., like on a historical trip to go see the different things there, and then maybe taking a quick jaunt down to Lancaster / Gettysburg / trip up, to Lancaster, Gettysburg, Hershey, and my hometown, Allentown. Do you think publishers wait too long to reprint games? I feel they often wait a very long time to drive up the buzz of out of print. Well, I could talk about this one for a really long time, but I will not. Suffice it to say, no. Publishers are not secretly sitting there going, oh. we're going to make people go crazy for this game. No. Usually they reprint games with trepidation going, yes, there's like 30 guys who really want it, but hopefully there's more. And then you'll very rarely see a reprint do well. Okay? Because the game is already in the market. Have you ever been invited on a Will Wheaton's tabletop? No. What made Monopoly such a success? Was it because there weren't many games at the time, or were the mechanisms new to people? Well, there's a lot of things. But the biggest reason Monopoly was a success was because it appealed to people. It came out on the heels of the Great Depression, and it was about making lots of money. And people liked that idea. It appealed to... There was just something fun about getting money and pretending you were rich. And that was one of the driving forces that made Monopoly a game. And then it became ingrained into popular culture. And we see references to it everywhere. So it just became popular and popular. Now it's popular because it's popular. But at the time, it was because of the theme. Why did I leave Korea? There was a huge amount of reasons. And right now, I don't want to get into all of them. But one of the main reasons was my daughter needed some major medical care. And fortunately, Miami Children's Hospital, which has just changed its name to something else, but anyway, was able to provide her with that care. Would you ever consider a Twilight Imperium 3 playthrough? Doubtful, just because of the length of time. What is the worst ostensibly Bible-based game you've ever played? Probably Bibleopoly. It's pretty bad. What's my favorite color? Dark purple. Though I do like yellow, but dark purple. I just like bright colors in general, though. In a game, I always play purple first. Then I'll play black, then white. But that's not because I like black and white, just because I don't ever pick yellow, green, red, or blue, because everyone else, there's always people who like those games. Ghost Stories would make a fun live play. We'll have to do that sometime. That's a good idea. Crossmaster Arena or Arcadia Quest? They're very different games. Do you know what your booth number you'll have at Essen? Off the top of my head, I don't. I apologize. I don't know it right now. I know it's in Hall 7. I don't remember our booth number. I'll find it out. Actually, maybe I can look it up right now real quickly. Let's see if I can do that. But I know it's in Hall 7. Hall 7 is the new hall. Let me see here. Let's see here. Well, that didn't work. 7C112. 7C112. That's what it is. Let's see here. The most popular author among my kids? They like different ones. I don't actually know what their favorite authors are. Melody reads pretty much any book that she comes across. Holly reads a lot too, but I'm not actually sure what if they have favorite authors. I'd have to ask them. Pizza or burger? Magic the Gathering or Yomi? That all depends on my mood for all those. Arrow or Flash? Probably Flash. It was very lighthearted. Let's see here. How nice would it be if someone actually came up with a well-made flick chart for board games? Well, that's something I'd like to add to my website at some point. So if anyone's ever interested in building one of those, let me know. Let's see here. Will there be a Dice Tower meeting in Essen again? Well, yeah, our show. And what day? Thursday. Are you guys going to have all your promos at GrandCon? I would love to get them from you in person as opposed to buying on Cool Stuff. Actually, I had not planned to bring any promos to GrandCon. I suppose I could carry a few on my person if you want to email me about it. But it's just a lot easier for me if you get them from Cool Stuff because we wanted to travel as light as we could for GrandCon. The most accomplished you've ever felt beating a co-op? That's really easy. It was one time we played Ghost Stories with the expansion, the White Moon expansion, and it came down to a single roll where we had a 33% chance, and we rolled that and we stood up and cheered because it was just so very exciting. That's the most accomplished I've ever felt, I think. Which part of Florida do you like best? The Keys, the East Coast, or the West Coast? I've never actually been to the West Coast of Florida. So my favorite part is right here. I like Homestead. I can go down to the Keys when I want to. I can go to Miami when I want to. Orlando's pretty cool too. But I like Homestead. With Seven Wonders Duel coming out, do you think there will be any more expansions for the main Seven Wonders game? Well, they promised 7 expansions, and they've only delivered 4 at this point, so there should be 3 more. How far out from the shelf do you allow your games to extend? That's a good question. Well, Wallenstein and Alhambra, the big box, extend about a centimeter. And that's basically it. The rest of them, these shelves let the games go pretty deep. So those, and that bothers me that they do, so they're on the bottom because of that. That annoys me. Do you expect the components in the reprint of Colosseum to be better than the Days of Wonder one? I don't know. I have no idea. Which will you keep in your collection? I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what the Tasty Midger one looks like. I'll tell you what, they're going to have to really work to beat the Days of Wonder one. What are the dates for Dice Tower Con 2017? I'm not sure, but I think they're on the website. Any spoiler for next week's big news? No. It's just a video, big video we're going to be doing. I think people will enjoy it, I hope. What do you think of Spinderella to be played with adults only? You can play any game you want with adults only, but it certainly feels like a kid's game to me. Do you have any custom-made Cosmic Encounter aliens you have made? If so, what were they? I don't know if we made custom ones back in the day. I've always just felt so happy with the depth of how many aliens there are. Even before the Fantasy Flight one with 150 aliens or whatever there are now. The Mayfair one had so many aliens, and then they would come up with more in their magazines and stuff. It was crazy. So I've never actually made a custom one. Let's see here. Will we do a top 10 LCG list? Probably not. We don't play enough of the LCGs. And I don't think there's enough to make a top 10 list that would be interesting at all at this point in time. Are you getting more excited about Star Wars with all the pictures and video that's been released? Or do you try to avoid seeing all that stuff? Man, I'm of two minds about this. I would love to go into Star Wars and just be unspoiled and be like, wow. The problem is it's everywhere, right? I already know what all the main characters look like because they keep showing them off. But partially it's my fault too, because when the toys were released at Walmart, I did go pick up all the toys, turn them over, and read the backstory on each of them because I was very curious. But I'm really, I'm like, I don't even want to see the trailers. I just want to go in and be unspoiled. Because the problem I have with movie trailers is many times they show this really cool action sequence. You're like, oh, it's great. Then when the movie comes, you're like, well, they haven't done that action sequence yet, so that's still coming. And I know this character is still going to be alive at that point because they haven't showed that sequence yet. So I almost wish I didn't see trailers. At the same time, I can't avoid seeing trailers. So I'm excited about it, but I don't know. I like Star Wars. Excuse me. How do you avoid being an alpha player in co-op games that you've played so much and therefore easily see the optimal path to take? I just try to keep my mouth shut. I really try not to be an alpha player. I kind of say, well, we could do this or we could do this. If I catch myself being an alpha player, I'll be like, all right, let's at least, I can keep the patter going, but let's mention all the different choices and let's hopefully someone else take the action. Also, I'm in a group, though, of so many guys who are alpha gamers. So, like, let's say me, Z, Sam, and Jason are playing a game, everyone is yelling about everything. We're all 4 alpha gamers, so no one is sitting back and just letting things go. What is it about Twa that you hate? I love the game. Well, that's perfectly fine that you like the game. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that that doesn't invalidate your viewpoint. I didn't like the fact that the game was just, it had this, I hate games that have this beat people down mechanism unless it's a co-op game, in which case I like it then. And that was my biggest problem. Do you typically mix all the bases up in Smash Up? Yes. I don't. It says this person says they've been playing only with the base of the factions that are picked. I don't think that it matters that much. I just mix them all. Saw Zendo and Eric's top 100 list, and I see it on the shelf behind you. Any chance of a review? Possibly. I'm waiting for the new Zendo. That's Zendo with an X. Zendo, this is a spoiler, but you'll find out when you watch my top 100 anyway. Just missed it. I think it was 101 Zendo. So there's that. Let's see here. Whew. Wow, there's so many different questions here. Let's see here. With so many board games having minis in them, are you thinking of adding a painting or how to paint and upgrade your mini segment in Board Game Breakfast? Well, if someone's interested in doing that, oh, that's Robert. Possibly, if you want to do that, let me know. I'm not opposed to doing it. It's just something that I'd be horrible at. I'd be like, guys, here's a mini. I know that you're supposed to, these are the techniques that you're supposed to do, and we're not going to watch me do them because I'm horrifically bad at them. Do I play games when I go on vacation? I don't really go on vacation much, so, but I guess I do. I don't think I will launch my fireworks on Guy Fawkes night because I don't think the people in the area would be pleased on the 5th of November that I'm just shooting up fireworks for reasons that they do not understand. I can wait till January 1st. I can do it. I can do it. Do age recommendations for games annoy you like they annoy me? My kids can always handle games that are supposed to be for older kids and adults. No, age recommendations do not annoy me. In fact, I'm glad that they exist because they give you some sort of idea. I don't see why that would annoy me. If you want to let your kids play a game that doesn't say that they can on the box, I don't think anyone's going to come and yell at you or be upset with you. So go ahead and do it. Be happy that your kids are smarter than the average kid or what have you. Although I would argue that most people think their kids are smarter than the average kid. Have I thought about doing a crossover with Angry Joe? I don't know how that would work. So, Angry Joe's a very nice person. I've had some dealings with him email-wise and such, and but I'm not sure his show is as family-friendly as ours, so I don't know how a crossover might work. Who knows? How many times do you play a game before making a decision about that game? I would say about 10 minutes. Oh! Actually, I don't know what that means. About making a decision, I play it as many times as I need to play it. I know it's an answer no one ever wants to hear it, but it's really the truth of it. There are some games I honestly know 1 minute into the game what my opinion is. And there are games that take multiple plays. And you're like, oh, that's what I think about the game. It's different for every game. Would you consider doing a board game cafe tour? It'd be an event for each location and bring new eyes to the Dice Tower. I've thought about such a thing, but that's very expensive for us to fly around the country and very time-consuming. Wait a minute, didn't I just answer this question? You guys asking the same question twice. I'm going to start not answering questions from people who ask the same things twice. Best birthday board gaming present you have received ever? Well, that one I know. That one's Domain. My wife, this was well over 10 years ago. Maybe it was 11 or 12 years ago. My wife decided to buy me a board game, something she would not do today. And so she didn't know what games I wanted, so she went and looked at my Board Game Geek want list, and it was an old list, one I had not updated yet. And she went down to Seoul on the subway, went to a board game cafe, looked at the list, randomly got Domain, and gave it to me for my birthday, and I was so happy. It's one of my favorite games, which is why it's still on my shelf. But there is some specialty to that because she was lucky. She could have bought me many games that I already owned or did not want, and she got me a good game. and then I really like it. Now, no one she doesn't buy me games today. That's silly. That's like buying someone who works in a movie theater a DVD. Um, but that's the best I've ever gotten. Let's see here. By the way, thank you everybody for saying happy birthday. It's very nice. Although I'll tell you what I was telling my wife yesterday. I told her that Facebook was absolutely worthless to me for 36 hours. Because we're like, oh, you have 200 messages on Facebook, and it's everyone saying happy birthday. I'm like, is there any actual real Facebook messages? Then they can get lost in the crowd. Um, any regrets or thoughts on the Expedit shelves after a year plus? Are they holding up weight or bowing under the weight of games? I don't think they're bowing. They're really built well. These are, once again, I say this multiple times, but these are the best shelves. I can't even imagine another shelf. These are the best. How do you avoid serial game playing? We tend to play one game about 30 times, then move on and seem to forget the games we love playing. Well, maybe don't play it 30 times. Just go back to the ones you like. Do you still have all your Memoir 44 stuff? No, I gave it all to Sam, especially since he's reviewing everything for it. Honestly, Tom, you might think that watching a TI3 gameplay would be boring, but many of us viewers don't. I apologize. Let me rephrase. I don't know that I want to do that. That would be a lot of work to record an 8-hour session. A lot going on. And I don't know. Possibly. We'd have to find the people. I would have to block out a day for that. So I don't know. Is Melody going to do a top 100 this year? I don't know. I asked her, and she wasn't sure. So we're still talking about that. If she doesn't want to, I will never make her do it. Did you get your fireworks at Phantom? Yes, I did. Can we get top 100s or 50s from other contributors? Well, yes. That's why we have Jason's and Eric's going up right now. And in future, and last year there was Z's and Sam's, and then the year before that there was Ryan's, and Dan King did his top 100. There's lots of top 100 lists that have gone up from our contributors, and you will probably see more as time goes by. Let's see here. What's behind the blue tree panels in your game shelf? So you're talking about these blue panel ones here that you can now see on the edge of the screen. And those top two, here and here, these two, is HeroScape stuff. One of them is full of the ice stuff, the other one's full of the fire stuff. And the bottom two, those there, they're just full of small games that I like a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, I really do need to play Ghost Stories live. That's a good idea. But we're not going to do it this week because of something else that's happening that we need to deal with and play. What game or games is a surprise hit of the year? Exclude Codenames? Why would I exclude Codenames? I'm not excluding Codenames. Codenames! That really is the truth of it. But I don't know what game will be the hit of the year. You'll have to wait till the year is over at that point. How many components have you broken with your gavel? 1. I murdered a meeple. I do have that one saved, though. And I will have that one on when I do my blooper video. I save a lot of videos to the blooper reel. It's not very interesting. Mostly it's me talking and then I go blah, 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 or something like that because I just lost my train of thought. And I thought that would be kind of boring for people to watch. So we'll see. But I do have some bloopers, and every once in a while I'll save another one to the list. How are you packing Viticulture and Tuscany into one box? I don't know. I just put them all in one box. I took out the inserts, so that's helpful. Also, I didn't keep all the expansions, so that also was probably more helpful. What is your view on the classic TSR game Buck Rogers' Battle for the 25th Century? And did the designer of Shogun design that game? Well, that I don't know. You can look it up on Board Game Geek. My opinion of the game is it was an interesting idea. It was cooler sounding than it actually was in play. The whole orbiting planets and the orbiting thing in the middle was neat. The miniatures were cool. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, ah! But the battles weren't very interesting. That game needs to be remade and a lot of the mechanisms to be changed in it. Says, what's your opinion on expansions that just add extra players? There's not many that just add extra players. In fact, usually they're mini expansions if they are. The only one I can think of that's a full-fledged expansion are the Settlers of Catan one. Are they always a bad idea? No, but they usually are. I think most games are fine with the number of players. Occasionally I'm like, oh yes, this game now goes to 5 or 6. Usually though I'm going, oh, it goes to 5 or 6. That just makes the game way too long at this point. Okay, a few more questions because I really do need to end at 9, folks. I'm personally doing 23 reviews this week, and I've only done 7 so far, so I need to get cranking to get a lot of these reviews done. So I need to get cranking on that, and we're recording more of my top 100 this week. I'm recording more of Jason's top 100 this week, and there's really a lot of different things that we're putting together and getting out there. I'm very excited, and we're still prepping for both Grand Con and Essen. What is my favorite secret identity game? I don't know. That sounds like a good top 10 list that we'll do someday. But I'll tell you right now, I'm really enamored with Mafia de Cuba. That one is a lot of fun. Any word on the new edition of A Study in Emerald, the one to made ready and playable? I don't know about the new version, but I just did get a chance to play A Study in Emerald a couple weeks ago, and I was very pleasantly surprised by it. I was wow, this was a very impressive game. It had a lot of cool features to it. I liked the coloring of it. It had an interesting end game mechanism. Our game ended up being 3 people on 1 person. I'm not sure I liked that aspect of the game. I almost wish that it would be guaranteed 2-1-2 in a 4-player game. But I was amused by the whole game. There was just a lot of cool things going on. And it took some of the things about deck building and turned them on their heels that I wasn't used to. Oh, I keep yawning. I'm very sorry, guys. I don't mean to. I know I got plenty of sleep last night. I don't know what the deal is. I got 6 hours. But how many masks do you have at home? I got lots of masks. What's your opinion about Antoine Bauza? He seems like a nice guy. I like his games. I don't... He's always been very polite and nice to me in person. That's funny. Can we see a 360 cam of your room? Trying to make sure there's nothing that's like not to be seen here. All right, well, hang on. There. Let's see. Woo. There you go. The wires love when I do that. Okay, well, that's about it then for this time here. And I apologize if I didn't get to your question. But we try to do these each week. So there's always different things to talk about. And I'll be doing another Q&A next week. So once again, there's a lot of different videos coming out. I know that we have a pile of reviews that will be coming out today. So keep an eye on that. And I believe the first of my top 100 will be going up today. And then tomorrow, more reviews and probably Jason's top 100, the next installment of that. Then Thursday, you'll see more reviews and possibly a top 10 list on Thursday. It will be either Thursday or Friday. Then Friday, more reviews, and then Eric's top 100. And then Saturday, more reviews. Lots of reviews coming out this week. So Pay attention. Look for all that stuff. Guys, I appreciate you watching as always. Again, thank you for the birthday wishes and for the person who sent me the hat. What a great gift it was. My family never knows what to buy me for my birthday, and I never know what to tell them. So this year they bought me some dumbbells. That's, I think, a two-sided thing. One, get into shape, and two, you're a dumbbell. But I should have told them to get me hats. XL hats. Or XXL hats. Those are the best ones. Or, see, I don't even know what else I want. Food. Oh, they also, they bought me exercise equipment and chocolate. And I was like, guys, this is kind of a mixed message here. Do I eat it and then work out? I'm not sure. That's okay. I don't need stuff. I have a wonderful family. I have a great life. And I have all you guys who are wasting your mornings or evenings listening to me blather. So, like I said, it's 9 o'clock here. It's time to get to work. Until next time, you've been watching the Dice Tower, and I'm Tom Vassell. Thanks, guys. See you next time.